Ndong, and this is my assessment of climate change vulnerabilities and impacts in the Kombo North area of the Gambia. Located in West Africa and completely surrounded by Senegal, except on its western side, at the mouth of River Gambia, this is the Gambia. Named after River Gambia, which runs through it, the Gambia is a former British colony which attained independence in 1965. The width of the country is 48 kilometers, with a total boundary length of 820 kilometers, of which 80 kilometers is coastline. The country is generally flat, and 20% of it comprises wetlands and swamps, and 30% of it is at or below 10 meters above sea level. Kombo North is the most densely populated part of the country and the most developed, with 50% of rural-urban migration occurring in this area. This area comprises markets, schools, banks, hotels, and social amenities. It is also home to the richest and the poorest in society. Buildings are predominantly single and double-story, made from concrete with roofs of corrugated iron sheets. Recently, a few 3- and 4-story buildings have sprung up as mixed-use buildings lining major roads. There are also some mud houses in poor communities. Most of the primary and some secondary roads are paved and are in good condition, but tertiary roads are generally earth roads. Drainage structures are poor and routine maintenance is non-existent on these roads. Drains become inundated with plastic waste and debris, which further aggravates the flooding along the main roads and down into low-lying areas. Because of the rapid increase in urban migration, many more people tend to settle in low-lying, flood-prone areas. The Gambia has a wet and dry tropical climate. The major climate processes are the Intertropical Convergence Zone, ITCZ, Western Monsoon, and El Niño Southern Oscillation. The dry period occurs from November to May, and the wet season falls between June and October. The wet rainy period is controlled by the ITCZ. The weather station in Ndong, Kombo North, shows average temperatures between 26 and 30 degrees centigrade during the rainy season, and between 23 and 29 degrees centigrade during the dry period since 1980. Both periods show an increase in temperatures since 1980. The same weather station also shows rainfall variability since 1980. The malaria season peaks during the wet period in the Gambia, and malaria accounts for 1,000 of child deaths a year and 20% of consultations. Diarrhea is also prevalent among children during this period, with an increase in viral infections in 2017, according to a senior nurse at the Medical Research Council in the Gambia. Designated as the Tourism Development Area, various hotels line the coastline in the Kombo North area. Sea level rise had depleted most of the beaches in recent years, especially in the Senegambia area in Kombo North. In 2002, the government spent $200 million on beach replenishment between Senegambia and Banjul, and again in 2012 in the Senegambia area through the Jeff UNDP project. Why is this so important to the government? In 2016, tourism accounted for 21.9% of GDP. The Gambia is a major tourist destination, and tourists are attracted by the lovely beaches, pleasant climate during the dry periods, bird watching and fishing activities. In 2017, the strive towards national development led to government's decision to de-reserve the Monkey Park in Kombo North, a popular tourist forest, for the construction of new buildings. Campaigns against it eventually led to some of the forest being maintained, but a lot of the trees had been chopped down and the natural habitats within them destroyed. This is an example of lack of strong policies to protect the environment. Woodland ecosystems are the main feeding grounds for cattle. They are also the primary source of timber for construction and wood fuel. In addition to other gardens in Kombo North, the swamps of River Gambia serve as farmlands. A particular example is the area around Lamin Lodge, surrounded by mangroves and often visited for birdwatching. There was depletion of mangroves in recent years along these brackish waters as the river water got saltier with an increase in sea level rise. These mangroves are feeding grounds for both migrant and resident waterbirds, fish, crustaceans, and mollusks, and a lot of women groups rely on picking oysters there as a major source of income. As agriculture in the Gambia is generally subsistence and rain-fed, farmers use the swamps as rice paddies during the wet season and as vegetable gardens during the dry season. When faced with crop failure due to rainfall variability, farmers generally tend to sell their produce immediately after harvest, when prices are already at their lowest, and buy grain afterwards during the hungry season between July and September. How does this affect the economy? In 2017, agriculture, including forestry and fishing, accounted for 25% of GDP, and whereas total GDP increased by 4.8% in 2017, there was a decrease in the agricultural sector by 8.1%. With very little mineral resources, although the government has confirmed the existence of crude oil and is actively pursuing it, and a minute manufacturing industry, over 60% of Gambians already depend on farmers for their livelihood. Most agricultural activities are undertaken by the youth and women, as women are predominantly engaged in subsistence farming, while the men concentrate on cash crops. This further enhances women's vulnerability in society. Increase in pest invasion is another challenge in this sector. In 2017, a new pest called the fall army worm was discovered in 3 major farms in Kombo North. It feeds on 80 different species of crop and can cause up to 100% crop damage in a highly infested farm. A bunch of homegrown bananas sell for about £1.50, and a 50-kilogram sack of poor quality imported rice costs around £18. How does this affect the citizenry? High food prices in such a poor country have resulted in an increase in child malnutrition, with deficiencies resulting in kwashiorkor and marasmus, according to a senior nurse at the Medical Research Council in the Gambia. Because of its small coastline, marine fishing is limited. Within the Kombo North area is a major fishing village called Tangi. Gambian fishermen are already faced with challenges of obtaining a good catch due to migration of certain species of fish as a result of increased warming of the oceans. To make matters worse, the government of the Gambia signed an agreement with the Chinese in 2017, allowing them to fish on the Gambian waters, further exploiting this industry. With limited data on climate change-related disasters, major events include heavy rains which caused massive flooding in 2010, resulting in the death of 17 people and affecting 35,000 people, including those in the Kombo North area. 70% reduction in total crop production in 2011, which left 1 million Gambians in need of food. Cattle disease outbreak in 2012 causing 5,000 cattle deaths. Droughts in 2013 and 14, as well as yearly flash floods and severe rainstorms which cause damage to poor infrastructure and affect human health. Projections for West African ECOWAS countries from the IPCC 5th Assessment Report show an increase in mean annual temperatures between 3 and 6 degrees centigrade for the end of the 21st century above the late 1986 to 2005 baseline under RCP 8.5 and RCP 2.6. Tropical West Africa is identified as hotspots of climate change for both RCP 8.5 and RCP 4.5 pathways, with unprecedented climates projected around late 2030s to early 2040s at the earliest. From the Climate Change Knowledge Portal World Bank Group, projections for mean annual temperatures for the Gambia show an increase between 1.1 and 3.1 degrees centigrade by the 2060s, with precipitation projections indicating a wide range of increases and decreases with ensemble mean projections between 0 and 3%. Rainfall projections show decreased ensemble mean projections between -7 and -20%. Many CMIP5 model projections indicate mean precipitation over West Africa to increase during the rainy season, with some delay in the start of the rainy season. GCM projections for heavy rainfall over West Africa by the end of the 21st century are of low to medium confidence. However, RCMs depict an increase in the number of days with extreme rainfall in May and July over West Africa. Sea level rise is projected to increase by 0.4 low emission scenario to 0.7 meters high emission scenario by 2100. The transboundary impacts are reduction in tourists due to increased heat waves, coastal depletion and reduction in forest cover, increased poverty and malnutrition of the rural poor due to increased crop failure, poor market access for agricultural produce and reduction in trade of imported goods from Europe and China through Kombo North, with countries such as Mali and Guinea during flooding events and severe climatic conditions. Achieving most of the SDGs in the Gambia will certainly enhance adaptation and mitigation measures.